What's up guys, my name is Ace, and yesterday we got a short video from Treyarch, and in this video, Matt Scronce was doing a short Q&A primarily focusing on movement in Black Ops 7, and there was also a mention of Black Ops 2 remastered maps for the future. And in today's video, I just wanted to go through all of these details, keeping in mind that a lot of this is stuff they've already revealed, but he has clarified some of the finer points with it, so that's why I decided to cover this in today's video. And we're going to start this off with their movement philosophy. He did confirm that they're going to be pulling back a bit when it comes to omni movement, and also they are removing tactical sprint by default, which we already knew about them removing tac sprint by default. He did also mention that they are increasing the base movement speed to compensate for that. So from the sounds of it, they're essentially just going to be building slipstream in for everybody. And now, if you want to get tac sprint, you have to select a perk. Whereas in Black Ops 6, it's the opposite. If you want to get rid of tac sprint, you have to use a perk, which is slipstream. Now, I have noticed since the announcement of this, a lot of people are confused as to why tac sprint is being removed and why it's being celebrated by a lot of people, myself included. For those people, I just want to refer you to a video that I made a while back talking about how I feel Call of Duty would be better off without tac sprint, at least as the default movement. And in my eyes, at least, obviously, I might be a little biased here, I think that gives an excellent explanation as to why tactical sprint doesn't really add anything meaningful to the Call of Duty experience, especially for 6v6 multiplayer, and why I feel the game would be better off without it entirely. So I will leave a link to that video in the description down below for anybody that is curious to know why many people are celebrating the removal of tactical sprint. Now, one thing I was really hoping he'd get into more details with here is what they mean by pulling back a bit with omni movement, because it's not just removing tac sprint. He said they're pulling back a bit and also they're removing tac sprint by default. So I'm curious to know what that means. What I'm personally hoping for, what I've been talking about and kind of asking for a while now, is that we see some slide speed and duration adjustments, especially when it comes to sideways sliding. I think it's fine to slide a decent distance forward, and it actually makes sense because you're sprinting forward. You should be able to maintain that momentum a little bit better compared to a quick dash to the side and into a slide. I think that's one of the areas that is off-putting for a lot of people that don't like the crazy amounts of movement. And as I always say, this is coming from somebody that utilizes the movement a lot, and I love omni movement, and I slide like crazy when I play. I still think the game would be better off if they were to dial things back in some of those areas, and I hope that's what he's referring to when he says they're pulling back a bit with omni movement. Although perhaps that's just referring to the fact that we can no longer aim down sight in the middle of a slide unless we use a specific perk for that. By default, it appears it's going to be going the Modern Warfare 3 route, where it will allow you to go into like a tactical stance if you try to aim down sight in the middle of a slide, rather than a full aim down sight. Now, the next thing he addressed in this video was talks of the really big jump that we saw in the reveal. And this was clarified in the past, but he went into a bit more detail. This is what they call a kinetic jump, and it's only in the campaign. This is not in multiplayer at all. So I know a lot of people were worried the moment they saw this. They're like, well, I'm out. Like, jetpacks are back. I don't want to play this multiplayer anymore. That is not a multiplayer movement. That is a campaign-only movement. Then he was asked whether there would be wall running and jetpacks in the game, and his answer was no and no. Neither of those will be in the game. There is a wall jump where you can sort of do that one bounce off a wall, and we've seen a bunch of clips of that now at this point, but there's no actual wall running, and there are no jetpacks. He clarified they're just not there yet with technology in 2035, which is where Black Ops 7 is set. Now, one of the more interesting things he revealed here that we haven't learned about until just now is the fact that we can actually chain wall jumps together. And with this, he said it's currently capped at 3, and you lose momentum for every jump. So your first wall jump will allow you to maintain a fair amount of momentum, as we've seen in the clips. If you manage to jump off that wall into a different wall, you can wall jump off of that wall as well, but you're not going to have nearly as much momentum, and then the third jump will have even less momentum. And he did clarify they didn't want people ping-ponging all over the map, which is why there is this momentum loss. And from the way he worded things, it also seems like they're very open to making adjustments with this, and they're going to be waiting for beta feedback on that. So this isn't set in stone. They may reduce this number, they may increase this number, they may reduce momentum or increase momentum. We don't really know what's going to happen with that because nobody externally has gotten their hands on it yet to provide that feedback. I'm personally very curious to see what this looks like when chaining them together. I'm also curious to see how viable this will even be within the maps in the game. I'm sure this is something where there's only specific parts on some maps where this is even possible to chain 3 wall jumps together. But this is one of the more interesting bits of information we got with this short video. Next, he was asked about grappling hooks and whether or not they'd be making it into multiplayer, because this is once again something that we saw with a bunch of the campaign footage in the reveal. And he mentioned grappling hooks will not be in the core 6v6 multiplayer experience. However, they may show up in Skirmish, which is the new 20v20 mode. And that's also the mode where they've shown that we can use wingsuits. So it seems to make sense in that mode where there is a bigger scale to it. And I wonder if perhaps down the road they're going to have grappling hooks in a limited time mode or something for 6v6. Maybe that could be fun, although I think it depends a lot on the map design, of course. After that, he was asked, so there's no double jump in the game, and he confirmed, no, there is no double jump, no jetpacks, nothing like that. It's just omni movement with those wall bounces added on top of it. And then finally, getting away from movement, he was asked about maps a little bit. The first thing was, will there be shipments? And his answer was wrong studio, so no, there won't be shipments. There will almost definitely be Nuketown, although I don't think it's been officially confirmed anywhere. We have yet to see a Black Ops game without Nuketown, so I highly suspect we're going to be getting Nuketown shortly after launch. And then he was asked about the possibility of seeing some Black Ops 2 remastered maps that we've never seen remastered before. And he effectively confirmed that this will be the case. We will be seeing more Black Ops 2 remasters, which isn't really surprising because it's been leaked for a long time that they've actually remastered all of the Black Ops 2 launch maps, at least, for this game. But unlike with Modern Warfare 3, where they brought all of the original Modern Warfare 2 remastered maps in the game at launch, and those were all of the launch maps with no new ones, this time around, it looks like they're taking a different approach where it's primarily new maps. We've got 13 new maps, combined with 3 remastered maps, Raid, Hijacked, and Express. And then from the sounds of this, we're obviously going to be seeing more Black Ops 2 remasters as time goes on. And I really wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing all of the launch Black Ops 2 maps remasters coming throughout the seasons as time goes on in Black Ops 7. And I am glad that they didn't go the Modern Warfare 3 route where it's all remade maps at launch. I'm glad we are going to be seeing new maps at launch. So I definitely prefer this approach, assuming this is the direction they're going. However, I really hope they don't lean too heavily on those remastered maps for post-launch content. And what I mean by this is I hope that we do see a decent amount of new maps as well for post-launch content, and we don't just get like entire seasons where it's nothing but remasters or primarily remasters, but we get one new map. I'm really hoping that the remasters will feel like a nice bonus on top of new content rather than a replacement for new content down the road. But obviously, time is going to have to tell on that. Another thing I wanted to mention here, which is kind of a follow-up to a video I made several days ago, where I was talking about the fact that they haven't advertised any face-off maps in the game. They just kept saying there are 16 6v6 maps, 3 remastered, 13 new ones. So that led me to believe that they're not doing face-off this time around with Black Ops 7, and Matt actually reached out to me on Twitter, and he said this: out of these 16 6v6 launch maps, 4 of them are smaller and support those modes, like a face-off style mode, with new plus some former favorite maps coming in post-launch. Then he said, a change we've made for Black Ops 7 is to try to make sure those smaller maps can support score streaks so they work for more playlists. So it looks like we are going to be seeing at least like a small map mosh pit style mode. It might not be called face-off, and I did ask for clarification here. I asked if there would be a unified map pool then. So for all of these small maps, are they also going to be in regular rotation? And he said not necessarily all of them, but the goal is that more can be supported, which mainly comes down to aerial access for score streaks. We don't want to force it either way if the team has a cool idea that can't support score streaks. So I'm assuming he's talking primarily about post-launch maps there, because earlier he did say 4 of those smaller maps out of the 16 at launch will support those modes, not that they are exclusive to those modes. So once again, it looks like they're going more of the Modern Warfare 3 route here, where they're likely going to have a small map mosh pit, where many of the maps in that mosh pit are also in regular 6v6 rotation, so there's some crossover there, but maybe some of them are limited to just that small map mosh pit. So for anybody that was worried about losing those tiny map experiences, it doesn't look like that's something you have to be all that worried about. They are going to have a separate place to go for those tiny maps. And with that, that's pretty much it. That is going to wrap it up for today's video with a little bit of clarification and some new information we got today. And this is where I'm curious to hear from you guys in those comments down below. How are you feeling about all of this? Especially things like the ability to chain 3 wall jumps together. Do you guys like the idea of that? Maybe not so much, or are you just taking a wait and see approach like I am? If you enjoyed this video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.